The film begins with a young man named Halam, who has just finished his final year of school. He often sits in a cabin on his family's property next to their house, where he has hung a picture of his deceased mother. His hobby is observing other people. We see him with his sister Lucy at a dinner with their father and his wife Verity, who used to be his father's secretary before marrying him after the death of Halam's mother. It seems that Halam does not like Verity, which is evident from his dismissive way of speaking. Halam talks to his sister, asking her not to move to Australia because he would feel lonely. However, Lucy is determined to leave. That night, Halam goes to the cabin to indulge in his hobby, also watching his father and stepmother. The next day, Lucy prepares for her journey and asks Halam to say goodbye, but he refuses, still angry with her. Later, he regrets his decision and runs after the car to say goodbye, but arrives too late. During lunch, Halam, his father, and Verity discuss him moving to London to work and study. Halam, however, feels as though they are trying to push him out of the house. He tells his father that he won't go to university and will stay in the house where his mother lived. That day, Halam goes to the lake and discovers that the boat his mother drowned in is damaged. When he returns home, he overhears Verity telling his father that she feels uncomfortable living with Halam in the house and believes that he hates her. She threatens to leave the house. Halam talks to his father about his suspicion that his mother's death was no accident, as she was a strong swimmer. His father responds that his mother had mental health issues in her final days and was taking large amounts of sedatives. But Halam remains skeptical. Halam reviews the report on his mother's death and finds out that she did indeed consume drugs. One night, he goes to the cabin and discovers that someone has defaced the picture of his mother. He takes a box of his mother's belongings and diaries to his room. When his sister Lucy calls, he forgets the key on the bed and steps out to talk to her. Verity sees the key, opens the box, and takes pictures of the diaries. Halam smashes the boat with a hammer and discovers that the break matches the one on the boat, suggesting someone intentionally damaged it. In the cabin, Verity surprises Halam by returning his key. She tells him that she read his mother's diaries and discovered that he watches her when she is with his father. She threatens to call the police, but Halam accuses her of murdering his mother and drowning her in the boat. He attacks her and nearly kills her, but she uses her knowledge of his weaknesses to seduce him. Afterward, she threatens to tell his father that he attacked her if he doesn't leave the house. Halam is afraid because he knows his father will believe her since he loves her. Halam leaves the house and travels away. When he tries to withdraw money, he finds that his father has emptied his bank account. He must find a place to sleep and spends the night on the roof of a building after escaping the police. The next day, Halam sees a woman who resembles his mother and follows her to her workplace at a hotel. He learns her name is Kate, and she is the hotel's personnel manager. He asks her for a job because he needs money, and she hires him to work in the hotel kitchen. After work, Halam starts watching Kate and discovers that she is in a relationship with a coworker. He follows her to her house, and when he is sure she is not there, rummages through her things, finding out that she was once married. When Kate suddenly returns, Halam flees through the window. Halam continues observing Kate from afar. One day, during his break, he goes to the hotel's roof and discovers it is a good spot to watch Kate's house. When he comes down, he's spotted by John, the co-worker who is in a relationship with Kate. John warns him not to go to the roof again, as his work is limited to the kitchen. That day, Kate asks Halam if he feels comfortable with his job. He replies that he does. At night, Halam begins watching Kate from a room on the hotel roof. He sees John in her house. He sneaks onto her roof to eavesdrop and discovers that John is married with children, reminding him of his stepmother and his belief that she killed his mother. Halam decides to go to the police to report his suspicion that his stepmother murdered his mother and that his father remains silent because he loves her too much. The next day, Halam sees John going up to the hotel roof and follows him, discovering that John lives in the room on the roof. He sees John watching Kate, and when John threatens to tell Kate about it, Halam threatens to expose John to his wife. This forces John to back off. At night, Halam sneaks into the staff archives and finds John's address, making John panic because he fears Halam might expose him to his wife. John is forced to reinstate Halam at work. While Halam is working, Kate asks him for a conversation and offers him a job at the hotel reception, a better position than in the kitchen. He accepts the offer and begins his new job. One day, John sees Halam watching Kate and provokes him, knowing that Halam is in love with her. That night, Halam is sad and longs for his mother. The next day, Kate gives Halam a Christmas card and invites him to go out with the coworkers. During the evening, a colleague mentions that he was supposed to get a promotion, but John opposed it. When Kate defends John, the colleague accuses her of defending him because of their relationship and leaves both of them. Later, Halam asks Kate about her relationship with John, and she explains that it is just mutual attraction and that John is married. After drinking heavily, Kate's behavior toward Halam changes, and she takes him home to get closer to him. However, Halam is very shy and declines a relationship with her. Instead, he happily sleeps next to her all night, feeling warmth and comfort. The next day at work, Halam goes to Kate's office and suggests they go out that evening, but she behaves differently and asks him to forget about the previous night. Halam feels embarrassed and leaves the office. After he finishes work, a colleague tells him that guests are asking for him by name at the reception and gives him their room number. When he enters the room, he finds Kate. She says she wants to talk about the previous night, but he interrupts her, saying he knows she wasn't in her right mind because of the alcohol. He assures her that he will forget everything, but suddenly they both start laughing, and an affair begins between them. Halam is very happy about his closeness with Kate and her affection for him. One day, he sees John waiting outside Kate's house and going upstairs with her. Halam follows them to the roof of her house and overhears them arguing, with Kate telling John to stay away from her. When John attacks her, Halam rushes to her defense. Kate is shocked to see Halam in her house, and John tells her that Halam has been watching her the whole time. Kate throws John out of her house, but Halam confesses that he has been watching her since their first meeting because she resembles his late mother. Kate is furious and throws him out of her house and her life. The next day, as Kate heads to work, she finds Halam sitting outside her door. She lets him in, and he tells her about his habit of spying on people's lives because he had nothing else to fill his time. Kate feels pity for him, forgives him, and even tries spying on people herself, just as he did. One day, Halam learns from a colleague that his father and stepmother are staying at the hotel and asking for him. When Kate finds out, she goes to Verity, his father's wife, and tells her that she is a friend of Halam's. Verity asks her to leave as she wants to speak to Halam privately. It turns out that the reason they came is that his father wants to use his mother's land to build residential buildings, but this requires Halam's consent. Verity tries to convince him, but he insults her, and she retaliates by insulting his mother, which enrages Halam. Halam goes to his father's house while his father is away, attacks Verity, ties her up, and takes her to drown her in the lake. But because he is not a murderer, he feels guilty and rescues her before she dies. At that moment, his father arrives and tells him that Verity had nothing to do with his mother's death and that his mother took her own life. Before her suicide, she damaged the boat with a hammer to stop herself from going out on the lake, but she tricked him and went out anyway. At the end of the film, we see Halam going to Kate's house, only to discover that she has started seeing someone else. She tells him that it would be better for him to find someone his age who truly loves him. And so, our film ends. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel so we can continue uploading videos.